something just to collect dust that we pick up every once in a while. We got to live this thing out. He is a way maker. He is a miracle worker. I'm trying to get through this. There are over 47 Old Testament verses about Jesus. Some of them tell us the fact he was born, right? Born of a virgin. That he would be born in Bethlehem. Lots of prophecy in the Old Testament. We all know that. It tells us he would come from a line of Abraham. It tells us that he would be a descendant of Jacob. It tells us that his throne will be anointed and external. All that good stuff. All those wonderful stories. But you know what it also tells us? It tells us that he would be betrayed. That he will be falsely accused. That he will be spat on and struck. He will be crucified with criminals. His hands and his feet pierced. He was blameless, never did anything wrong. It tells us he will be mocked and ridiculed. It tells us that the soldiers would gamble for his garments, literally fight over his clothes. It tells us he will be forsaken by God. I know y'all don't like that, but it tells us he will be forsaken. But it also told us that he will resurrect from the dead. That he would ascend up to heaven. And that he would be seated at the God's right hand. And that he will return a second time. Why are you telling us this? God sent his son here, knowing everything that he would face. Yet, he would be able to overcome everything that he faced. And I'm here to tell you that although every trial, every storm, every tribulation that you will also face may not have been prophesied to you, that we may not have been talking about it through prophets years ago about your life, you too, child of God, are going to overcome every trial, every tribulation, every tough season, every emotional disturbance, every mental disturbance, every physical infirmity. You have the power to also, like Jesus, his name is Jesus, just like Jesus, to overcome your worst days. Many of us have been in a low place before in our life, whether it's been through the death of a loved one, through a divorce, through losing a child, from heartbreak, disappointment, layoffs, losing your home, repossession, foreclosure. Many of us will face things, have faced things. Many are the afflictions of the righteous. So we're going to face more because you are who you are, because you are a child of God. You're going to continue to face things. But just like Jesus, you are overcome. You are an overcomer already. Just like Jesus, you are going to be able to go through every challenge, every trial, every tribulation, everything that has you bound or has held you bound. You're going to be loosed and freed from all of those things, just like Yeshua. His life is literally an example of all of these things. And I know that it gets difficult when you're in the midst of that thing to see your way out. You don't have to see your way out. Just know you're going to get out. Just know you're going to walk out. So encourage yourself if you need to. Tell yourself what the word has to say. I'm not big on affirmations, nothing against that. If you need to do that, whatever you need to do. If you got to get in the mirror and tell yourself what the word of God says about your situation, then you do that. You do what you need to do to get through what you got to go through so that you can get on the other side of what it is that Jesus has for you. The other side of what it is that he desires for all of us to see. We can't get stuck in these places. We can't get stuck in these trials. We can't get stuck where we are not operating in our full gift, that because we're going through this, that we are not able to also do what it is God has called for us to do. His own son knew what his assignment was here on the earth. He knew, he was telling them, I'm not going to be among you always. I'm going to be betrayed. So why we think we won't be betrayed? He literally knew somebody in this room right now is going to betray me, deny me. So why we think that that person won't lie on us? Why we think that man won't leave? Why we think that woman won't leave? Why we think that job won't let us go? Why we think that we're not going to go through anything when Jesus literally went through all these things, but even in the midst of him knowing I'm going to die, he stayed on his assignment. He still was healing. He still was freeing. He still was providing hope. He still was showing people literal examples. This is what ministry is. This is for us to do even in this time today. In the midst of your trial, you still have spiritual gifts, child of God. You still have things that are unique and specific to you. It's still a little boy that needs you to call and check on him to make sure everything is good, because he doesn't have another man in his life to encourage him, to check on him, to talk to him. In the midst of you going through, pick up the phone and check on your sister that you know is going through. Maybe you've never been through what she's been through. But just let her be someone that can vent to you. Be a sounding board for her. Let her get it all out. And then encourage her. Let her know you're there. Pray for her. Pray for her. You ain't got to tell her you pray. Just do it. Be there for people, even in the midst of whatever you are struggling with yourself. Jesus did it. If he did it, we can do it. God created us in his image. All of us, every single one of us. Life is a test. For those at home, I know people in here, I know y'all know what life is about. But for anybody at home that's like, what is life about? What's the point? The point of life is to come here, to go through trials, to go through challenges, tribulations. It's a test to see if we have what it takes